let's go ahead and get things let's get things started. Coach, obviously not the result you wanted against Maryland, but we can kind of clear the non-con and focus in on some MAC play with a upstart BG team coming in. So some opening thoughts about the game against the Terps and looking forward to a homecoming and the Bowling Green Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, happy Monday, everyone. Great to see everyone again. Great to turn the page, get to conference play. Excited for that. Some great lessons that we were able to pull from our last outing against Maryland. Some things that we put on tape that, we've consistently showed, generating turnovers. Great to see that. Again, it's great to see the explosive pass plays in the offense continue to come to life. Obviously, some things that hadn't been us that we put on tape that we need to clean up, things that we hadn't done the first few weeks that we need to get better with. The guys did a great job receiving it, owning it like we do always on Own It Sunday, whether it's the good or the bad. We got to own it. We got to grow from it. Another step in the process. So, we're better, we're hardened, we're more resilient, and we're tested from that non-conference schedule. And we're looking forward to getting back home to Dick's Stadium this Saturday afternoon. Looking forward to getting 20,000 fans in Dick's to give us a great environment, to build upon that last home environment that we had. That was an unbelievable, electric environment, the best one that we've had to date. So our fans need to live our first cultural belief that we need to improve and perform the way that our team has week in and week out, and have a great second home game against a very, very good BG team that's coming in here, playing much improved ball, coming off of an obvious big win against Minnesota, going up there, finding a way to get that victory. So looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to be back home, and looking forward to competing in MAC play.
Well, let's wrap up Maryland with a couple of final questions about the Terps. Let's start with Alan Moff from the Record Courier. Any last questions from Saturday's game?
Yeah, Coach, just, as I like to ask, just what you see on film after you got a chance to look back at that game?
Yeah, was impressed with the way that our kids fought and the way that they played. That jumped off first and foremost. And again, that has become, we pride ourselves on being a tough football team, right? Mentally and physically tough, regardless of circumstance. And again, we finished the game the right way. Impressive goal line stand by our defense in the fourth quarter. Second to last drive, offense did a great job responding and executing our base plays. So what really stood out is that regardless of the competition, regardless of the environment, when we handle our business and we do things to the level that we're capable of doing it, we can go compete and stand toe to toe. Unfortunately, we weren't as consistent as we'd like to be. We weren't as consistent as we had shown in weeks past. So we just got to do a great job starting with us as a staff, being more consistent, putting our kids in the best position to be successful, to being consistent and winning our one-on-ones in between the white lines, and being consistent and being opportunistic the way that we have been in all three phases of the game, and not taking points off the board, not hurting ourselves. Obviously those penalties, big piece of it, that we can control, and we can be better in that area so that we don't take those points off the board, and control and worry about and focus on the things that we can empower ourselves with. And that's where the focus is going to be as we go forward, to take those lessons and grow and learn from that as we go forward into the conference play this week.
Alan, any additional follow-ups?
Yeah, just how about, when you take the entire non-con into account and kind of look at it as a package, obviously you want to win every game. Really tough schedule. Just how do you feel overall about, maybe your team before this, and then now that you've gone through it, and how do you feel about it now?
I feel great about it. I feel great about the way that our guys have handled it. Obviously, the results, not what we wanted, right? But we all know if we all could control results, we'd be 4-0. But at the end of the day, we don't have control over those results. We don't have control over the outcome. We have control over the things that we can't control, our preparation, our responses to the things that we've faced to this point, right? So the fact of the matter is, whether we were 4-0 coming out of a very challenging non-conference schedule, or 1-3, which is the reality, all our goals are still ahead of us. All our goals are still ahead of us, to where being 4-0 or being 1-3 has nothing to do with retaining our wagon wheel. Being 4-0 or being 1-3 has nothing to do with winning the East. Being 4-0 in our non-con, being 1-3 has nothing to do with winning. Now, as we sit here, we're 0-0. Yesterday, they were open to coaching. They own what they put on tape. They're eager to learn. They're eager to get back onto the field. And they're eager to defend their home stadium where we're undefeated. So really proud. Love our ball club. Love the way they go about things. And really eager to get into conference play with them.
Yeah, both sides of the ball, a bunch of guys did things. I mean, in the whole 4 games, and stepping up here and there, just kind of from your perspective, who, when you look back, really kind of jumps out at you?
Yeah, I mean, starting with special teams, Andrew Glass, for him to go, put those kicks through, phenomenal. Great job by him. I tell you what, showing incredible toughness mentally and physically to where, we have that fake kick. We execute it really, really well. He goes and scores a touchdown. Obviously that has to come back. So now he's got to refocus. We're on a different hash. He's got to get his composure. He bangs that ball through. So that's great to see his growth and development over the course of these 4 weeks. That's been a major positive. It was great to get Daniel Johnson back. He played every single snap except for a couple when he kind of got rolled up on. He's doing great. So getting him back in the mix and him playing at a level that we are accustomed to seeing, along with the depth that the other guys up front have played with, been really pleased with the O-line as a whole, all the different pieces that we've played and the way that they have navigated and excelled through the non-conference schedule. And then defensively, one guy that's really stood out the past couple of weeks is Nico Bolden. He's really flashed, playing really hard, getting to the football, violent at the point of attack, had a big, forced fumble there late in the game. Again, situation, environment, score, didn't dictate anything. Kid loves to play the game. He plays it hard, forces that fumble, and he flashes and he shows up. So those are a few guys that have really kind of stood out.
My last one, just, from my perspective, you look at the schedule and you're worried about physically how you're going to hold up. And it seems like you guys have come through this really well, but, kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, aside from the early injury to Wheezy, we've come through it pretty clean. There's some general to be expected rolled up ankles, some twisted knees, things that happen through the course of the game. But again, that's a credit to the leadership of our strength and conditioning staff, the hard work that our kids have put in, the way they care for their bodies throughout the course of the week. Again, the holistic approach so that they're as good as can be, as close to 100% week in and week out, when we get to the moment where we get to perform and we get to play, so they can be resilient through it. And the guys have done a great job with that. And those are habits, that we established early on in the season here that need to carry through, and that we can't have a natural kind of, relaxation or regression to average with that. I think our preparation, the way that we get our bodies prepared and the work that they do has been really, really good. And we need to maintain that as we roll through the conference.
Ellen, any last questions regarding Maryland to the non-conference? Let's go over to Jack Burney from TV2. Any final questions about the non-conference or Maryland for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, obviously not the result you wanted on Saturday. 1-3, we were just talking about not the result you wanted in the non-conference schedule. But looking at Saturday, you guys had a lot of positives. I thought you guys moved the ball well, 308 passing yards, 150 rushing yards. Just what can you take away from that game and take into the next game as you guys start conference play?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's good to see all phases coming together. It's good to be playing complementary football offensively. Kind of early on, we were playing with one hand, again, because of some of the things that the defense dictated and also just some of our lack of execution. So it's great to see our kids, again, respond, lead into the work so that the throw game comes to life. We got good balance. There's good total production. We saw some things that we need to, just refine, have our sense of urgency, attention to detail go up in the red zone so we can be cleaner with our execution there, because obviously, again, the results in the red zone aren't what we wanted, but we're not that far off either, and again, some of the way that last number looks is because situation dictated where, we could have conceded and we could have kicked points, but that wasn't what the situation dictated, so we're going to play to win. We're going to call it to win. And again, our kids go out and they attack and play to win. So, pleased with where we're at, pleased with where we're going. Still lots of room for improvement. But again, I mean, our kids love the work. They understand that work works, and they continue to lean into it. And we're going to be just fine.
Jack, any other follow-ups about the non-conference or Maryland?
Nope, I'm good for non-conference.
Okay, thank you. Let's go over to James Oswald, Kent Stater. James, do you have any questions about the non-con or anything that's popped up since Saturday?
Yeah, Coach, Dustin had a really good game Saturday. You found some success with that deep ball. What did you see specifically from him that you thought he did really well, and what do you look to see from these non-conference games that he did that he's going to do really well in conference play with?
I think the thing that stood out the most, Jimmy, was that his resiliency to stand in the pocket, against a very good pass rush. His grit to stand in there, and some of those deep balls, right? Like I think the casual fan sees the ball leave his hands, and you track and you follow the ball. And what you miss is kind of the licks and the jabs that he's eating as soon as the ball's getting out of his hand, but he's done a great job trusting the rhythm and the timing and the location of his throws. He's able to work through his progression, get the ball out in a timely manner, but the resiliency and the courage, to show real toughness and sit in there and eat those jabs and throw knockouts. Shoot, the one that got called back is an excellent job and really a really good picture of his growth and maturation from the past few years to where, he climbs in the pocket, he settles in, And when he climbs, he doesn't move and create extra stress, by climbing too far, settles down. It's a really common overthrow situation because all your momentum's going forward, and he's able to calibrate, drop, dime, and then the 3 technique rolls off and hits him as soon as he throws it, and he ends up on the ground. And again, everyone sees the ooh, ah moment in the catch, but it's kind of like, in a hockey game where a guy passes the puck and then he gets lit up, and that causes the fight afterwards. No one sees like what instigated it because everyone's following the puck. It's kind of the same deal to where, that's an area of his game, his pocket presence, his pocket awareness, and his willingness, to sit in there. His teammates see that, and I think that speaks volumes for him. Sorry for the long-winded answer there. That stuff gets me going.
James, any follow-ups regarding the non-conference or Saturday's game?
No, but I'm all good for Maryland and stuff.
So we'll wrap up the week with any questions from the Kent State football radio voice, Mr. Rob Polinsky.
Hey, Coach, was wondering, obviously Cephas had a huge game Saturday. The week before, Abram had a big game at Iowa. What are they doing specifically to give themselves so many chances of making so many catches? And what do you think about your wide receiver group as a whole kind of going forward?
Rob, what they're doing is throughout the course of the week, they're working really, really hard. I think everyone sees game day because that's when the cameras are on and people are able to watch us work. But those kids are working really, really hard behind the scenes, gaining the trust of the quarterback and being in the right spots to the right pictures. And so the time that they're putting in on their own, watching tape, seeing pictures, getting all on the same page, it's no surprise that the results are now coming, okay, because of those habits that they've shown. And again, not getting frustrated early on in the year where it wasn't there, but just saying, okay, hey, we got to get better. At the end of the day, what we're doing right now isn't good enough. So let's lean into the work and let's get better. And, there's continued growth from those guys and from the whole wide receiver core. Nakeem Johnson had one of his most productive days as a wide receiver for us as well. And again, it's those guys collectively as more and more guys pop up, as Jayshon Pope continues to get healthy, as the tight ends roles continue to expand, the amount of skill and talent that we have between our receivers, our slots, our tight ends, our backs. I tell you what, it's a nice spice rack to go to where we can season up a game plan, and be able to attack in a lot of different ways.
Coach, one other thing on it. I was wondering, specifically Saturday, and kind of has been a theme through the non-conference, when you get in the red zone or when you get fairly deep in enemy territory on first down, or, there's teams struggling and you end up being behind the sticks. Is there something specific? Is it just the execution of the play? Do you need to work on some play calls? What are you seeing when you see the film and why things are breaking down in the red zone on first down?
Yeah, I think it's more the calls that I'm putting in that we need to be putting our kids in better position. We kind of get down there and we're doing some game plan specific things to where we're trying to wire things for perfect calls, as opposed to just calling stuff that we've repped 100,000 times that our kids know cold and they can go execute. So simplifying, simplicity wins, and just leaning on the stuff that we do best to putting our kids in the best spot to be successful. And then our kids, I tell you what, they'd be the first ones to tell you that they're taking great sense of pride and ownership in it, where they know that they got to be better and just win their one-on-one battles. That's the thing about the red zone, right? To where the field gets condensed, and it doesn't matter if it's a pickup game in the park or it's the NFL. You get in the red zone, it comes down to one-on-one battles and who's going to win those one-on-ones, who can sustain their blocks, who can win their matchups, what ball carriers can make the open field guy miss, and who's going to win the one-on-one. So we got to be better as play callers. We got to be better building the plan, and our kids know, and they'll be the first to tell you that they got to be better executing as well. So we all take pride in it. We all take ownership in it. We're going to get it better.
Thanks.
All right, guys, let's turn our attention to homecoming and a 3:30 kick against the Bowling Green Falcons. And Coach, just a kind of an opening statement, what you've kind of seen from the Falcons. And obviously, like you said, it's 0-0. Everybody's 0-0 with the exception of Toledo and Ball State as we tune to week 5.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it earlier, but obviously much improved team. Tip of the cap to Coach Leffler and his staff. You can tell that they've built this thing the right way going into year 3, right? Have a solid foundation that they've built their culture on, and now they're starting to bear some fruit because of that work that they've done. Got some playmakers that have come in to help them defensively. They got a transfer from Kansas that plays corner, kind of their nickel Sam. Does a lot of different things for them. Very explosive playmaker. Their front defensively is very active, very violent. They come downhill. Their backers really play downhill. They're some of the most aggressive backers that we've seen so far in terms of triggering to break up your double teams and to induce those one-on-one blocks in the run game. Do a really good job stopping the run. Very opportunistic defensively. They got good players playing on teams, and they've always put an emphasis on teams. Throwing the ball well. Knowing Coach Leffler and his staff, they want to have an identity running the ball as well. They're committed to that, and they know that they can do that at a higher level. Very good team coming in here with confidence. Just went up to Minnesota, got a big win up there. And, I know they're going to have a chip on their shoulder because of the past few years and the way that the score's played out. So we got to give our best effort because we know they're going to come in here with bad intentions. And obviously the opener of conference play, it's a divisional opponent. Each one of these wins, helps you control your own destiny. So it's a big time game. Need all our fans there. Need a lot of support this Saturday afternoon at Dick Stadium.
Let's turn it over to some questions. Let's start once again with Alan Moff from the Record Courier.
Just kind of what was the kind of buzz in your locker room and your meeting rooms and that yesterday after seeing these guys beat Minnesota? Obviously, that gets your attention.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've always had our full attention. They always will. These divisional games are huge. But I mean, yeah, that kind of perks your spidey senses a little bit. I think they went into that game something like 30-point dogs and come out winners, right? I mean, so that's a big time win. It's a testament to, again, their program, their staff, their kids. It's a great job going up there. As we've talked about for the past 4 weeks, it's not easy to go on the road and win these games. And they found a way to do that, so kind of like we talked about last week with Maryland, to where they found, they're a team that is finding ways to win. Shoot, every single contest that they've been in, even though they're 2-2, I mean, they've been right there. I mean, they hung tough with Tennessee. That Tennessee game is very similar to a lot of our non-conference games. And they battle South Alabama, where it comes down to some freak plays here and there. But that thing, if the ball bounces the right way, it literally, could be their ball game. They win. They handle Murray State on their homecoming. Go up there. They're finding ways to win. So, I mean, shoot, it if nothing else, Alan, it really locked in our guys even more so that this ain't the BG team from the past couple of years. They're improved. They're better. They put in work. And it's going to be a great action football game.
I mean, you touched on it a little bit with what they've done on the defensive side, especially just a massive improvement. Just kind of, is there anybody else specifically? You mentioned the corner. Anybody else specifically that really jumps out, or any like scheme wise things that they're doing that they really couldn't do or hadn't done last year?
I mean, their kids have gotten significantly better, which is a testament, again, to their work and to their strength staff and to Coach Leffler and his staff. 44 up front, one of their defensive linemen, number 9 up front, another one of their defensive linemen, edge players, really, really good players, very active. The two backers, 23, 34 are their numbers. Those two starting kids. Again, they do a great job playing downhill. They got a stop the run mindset. They're very active in their front. They're very multiple with their fronts. So again, that presents some issues because on first and second down, on first down, it might be an Okie front. On second down, you might get a 40 front. What they're presenting pre-snap, they're moving, they're slanting, they're angling, very active. They're not stationary targets. And so because of that, they're getting penetration. They're causing a lot of havoc, a lot of disruptive plays in terms of TFLs, sacks, and then it allows their DBs to play very confidently because they know that they don't have to cover for very long because that front is generating a whole heck of a lot of pressure in the run game and on quarterbacks.
Flip over to their offense, and I mean, they're not putting up huge numbers or anything, but like you said, they're finding ways to win. Just talk about that group a little bit and how you're going to defend them. Yeah, I mean, again, they got some talent, right? They've got some guys that can hurt you. And so again, they're multiple, they play with quite a few tight ends. We got to do a great job being disruptive at the line of scrimmage. I mean, so a lot of the same things, right? To where we just complimenting their D line, we need to see from our D line to be disruptive against their offensive line. And whether it's run or pass, getting them off schedule and being disruptive and getting them behind the sticks so that we can be advantageous and opportunistic the way that we have, right? To continue to turn team over, generate extra possessions, and then when we get those extra possessions, convert those into touchdowns and not field goals, and we'll be okay.
Alan, any other follow-ups for Coach on the BG game this Saturday?
I'm good.
So let's take it over to Jack Burney from TV2. Jack, you have any questions for Coach for this Saturday's matchup?
Yeah, Coach, Bowling Green, we obviously mentioned it coming off a big upset. One player that jumped out to me when I watched that game was number 7, Ferguson, I believe. He made some big plays down the stretch, looked like the best player on the field in that game. How do you go about slowing down an explosive player on the defense like him going into this week?
Yeah, I mean, got to be aware of him. You know, he's a very active, disruptive player. He kind of reminds me of Q Knight, who we had here, you know, obviously a few years back. He's kind of that hybrid DB Sam backer that is a Swiss Army knife that you need against gun spread tempo teams like ourselves. He has the ability to cover out on a slot. He's athletic enough to do that. There's other packages where he's covering outside wide receivers. You know, he's a very physical football player where he's got no issue with pressuring off the edge or setting an edge in the run game and playing through wide receivers and those types of things. So, you know, we got to win those one-on-ones. We got to be aware of where he's at and, you know, make sure that he has, we don't give him many opportunities to impact the game in the way in which he did a week ago, you know, but every single week he finds a way, the way good ball hawk players do, the way good football players do. They're active to the football. He plays really, really hard. And, you know, again, it comes down to the positions that we put our guys in. They got to take pride in winning that one-on-one. And we got to do a great job to where we're putting our guys in position, you know, to where it's an advantageous situation so that we have the ability to win that battle.
Are there any keys you think are going to be particularly important on Saturday?
I mean, the usual, right? As cliche as it is, right? Like we got to do a great job staying on schedule, as you guys have alluded to, right? And controlling the line of scrimmage. The turnover battle is going to be huge. You know, they've generated points because of turnovers. Either setting up their offense in a short field or like in the South Alabama game, they get a pick 6. All right. So again, winning the turnover battle, you know, limiting their explosive plays, generating some explosive plays. And then again, the same way that we did, you know, a week ago, we got to be opportunistic in the special teams game and turn that into an advantage for us. But, you know, I think the game's going to be won in the trenches on both sides, that turnover battle and, you know, creating an advantage in special teams as well.
Last one for me. The homecoming should be a pretty packed crowd at Dick Stadium this week. Do you and your players get extra amped up for games like this?
I tell you what, it's just great to see the energy and the excitement, and with how hard our kids work, that the day they get to go play the game of football that they love and the day that's for them, to have a vibrant, energetic, packed Dick Stadium like how we had against VMI, to continue to grow that so that it becomes a competitive home field advantage. I mean, you know, I can't wait till we're on our boundary, we're on our sideline Saturday, and I see the corners of the student section across the way and to our left completely packed. You know, that's how I know that we're going to do, that we've done great things. And that, you know, from the beginning, we knew that if we built a winner here and we continue to win and have sustained success, that the people of Northeast Ohio and our proud Flash Fast family would come out and support us. And I tell you what, with how hard our kids work, it's great to allow them to perform and entertain on that sort of stage. So that's exciting to see.
Thank you, Jack. James, you have any questions for Coach regarding this weekend's matchup?
Yeah, Coach, I know Saturday, KJ mentioned that you guys, you know, as a defense, you know, you go for at least three turnovers a game. Something you guys have done really well. What's your guys' mindset on that? And then going into a game like Bowling Green, where do you see some opportunities to have some turnovers really affect the game like that?
Are you asking in terms of like how we've been able to generate those turnovers, James?
Yeah, how you're able to generate them, and where you see some opportunities to generate some on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, so the biggest thing is that the staff has done a great job, and the kids have bought into, you know, that what we're emphasizing in terms of the ball is ours. Like, we truly mean that. It's not coach speak. And so the kids are working it. We're drilling it. It's been a point of emphasis, and again, firm believer that you're going to get what you emphasize. Okay, so guys have bought into that, and they see the opportunities and they seize those moments, right? Guys are running to the football. And when you're doing that, great things are going to happen, right? Like the pick that KJ had, he's running to the ball, ball's thrown a little bit behind, but because he's running to the ball, he's in the right spot at the right time. Nico Bolden redirects on a little wide receiver smoke screen come Saturday. He is flying to the ball. He's in a position where he's behind the ball carrier. He's able to reach and punch from over the top, get the ball out. And again, KJ's running to the ball, and recovers the fumble. So it's a lot of those same moments. It's a lot of those same opportunities to where we need to get hats to the ball when the ball carriers get loose and careless with the ball and it's not high and tight. We got to work at the ball. We got to obviously secure the tackle, but then the second or third guys in have to be working at the football to get that thing out so that we can generate those turnovers. And then when the ball's in the air, we got to read our keys. We got to trust our eyes, and we got to go get that thing. I don't want anyone playing with any hesitations or reservations. There's no need to play this game scared. You're scared, go to church. All right. You want something between the white lines, pull the trigger and go make plays.
You obviously touched upon in the past about how, special teams is very important. To a freshman punter, freshman kicker going into a divisional game like this, how important do you think that is in divisional play? And what do you expect to see from them this weekend?
I expect them to be as consistent as they've been. I mean, those two kids, there's a couple growing pains with Glass early that we talked about, but he was huge. Last time when we went out, he's done an excellent job. Obviously putting the ball between the pipes last time out, but even more impressive is navigating that non-conference schedule with some of those guys that we need to kick the ball to and all the different ways that we manage those kickoff situations. He executed that plan to a T, and that gives him confidence. Josh has done a great job, again, executing the plan. You look at his numbers, it gets a little skewed because of the way in which we went about that Iowa game. But again, that was one of the leading returners in the country going into that thing. We weren't going to give that kid a chance to impact it. And so I continue to know that those kids, because of what they've done, the performances that they've had, are going to be a positive impact as we roll into conference play.
James, any other questions for Coach?
Nope, I'm good.
Rob, the voice of the Golden Flashes, any questions for Coach regarding this Saturday's matchup?
Those guys stole all my questions. I even thought I could come up with a special teams one, and James took it from me. So, Coach, I guess I'll just end it this way. Are you and Dan doing okay after that Bears performance or lack thereof yesterday?
Wow, shots fired, Rob.
I'm just asking. They took all my questions.
I tell you what, I had my Bears hoodie on yesterday, and I'm going to continue to rock it proudly because we're going to find a way. We're going to be all right.
Good luck.
Hey, that's the life of a Bears fan right now, all right? We're in it. We're in it to win it.
Last call for questions, Justin Fields or otherwise. All right, guys. Thank you very much for a few moments of your time, Coach. As always, we'll see you Thursday for Water Street and Flash Talk, and then Saturday for some homecoming action.
Sounds good. Thanks as always, guys. Go Flashes.